I always talk about the Americans, of course, Canadians, Australians, people who visit Ireland. We get a lot of people, of course, from all over Europe, but Americans in particular, they love Ireland. They love looking for leprechauns and all that sort of thing. You can imagine this fella from Detroit, Michigan, and it's his first time in Ireland. He's never been to Ireland before, and he arrives on flight EI-104, and he steps down from the Aer Lingus Jumbo, and as he walks down the steps, he sees this fella standing beside a very, very long table with a white tablecloth, and there's all skulls on the table, all skulls and bones on the table. And the fella's standing there with the plaid jacket, you see, and the old cap and the pipe. The American comes over and says, "How you doing there? Very happy to be here in Ireland." "What are you doing, sir?"
He says, "I'm living here."
"Yes, sir." He said, "But what are you doing right now?"
"I'm standing looking at you."
But he said, what's this display?"
He says, "I'm selling skulls."
"You're selling what, sir?"
He says, "I'm selling skulls."
"You're selling schools?"
"No, skulls, you idiot. Skulls. Skull. Head with no skin, skull.
"Oh, you're selling skulls." "Oh, yes. What sort of skulls do you have?"
Well, I have the skulls here of famous Irishmen. I have the skull now, for instance, of Brian Boru. I have the skull of Finn McCool. I have the skull of St. Brendan the Navigator. I have the skull of St. Patrick. I have the skull of Cuchulainn.
He says, "Hold on, sir. Are you telling me you've got St. Patrick's skull here?"
Yes, that's St. Patrick's skull there. That's the great St. Patrick, patron saint of Ireland.
He says, "You got to be kidding me. How do I know that's St. Patrick?"
The ask it.
Your man was a ventriloquist as well. Well, he said, I guess I'd like to buy that skull from you, sir." He said, "How much are you going to charge?"
Well, he says, "You can make me an offer."
He says, "How about $25?
Go again.
Okay, so how about $20?
He says, That's enough.
He said, "How much is that in Irish money?"
He says, "About £75.
Pick up the money. He got the money, and the American took the skull in a Dunnes Stores bag, and he headed off back to the United States. Now, he put the skull of St. Patrick on display in his pub restaurant, and people came from everywhere around America to Detroit, Michigan, to see the skull of St. Patrick. And he made $5 million over 5 years from people looking at this skull. He came back to Ireland. He decided he'd come back here, and he arrived once again on flight EI-104, and he came down the steps. And as he came down the steps, he saw the same man standing beside a table with skulls. And he says, "How you doing there? Very happy to be here in the Emerald Isle." "Yes, sir." He said, "What are you doing today?"
He says, "I'm living here."
"But what are you doing?"
He says, "I'm selling skulls."
"So what skulls do you have today, sir?"
Well, today I have the skulls here of famous Irishmen. I have the skull here of Brian Boru. I have the skull of Cuchulainn. I have the skull of St. Brendan the Navigator. I have the skull of St. Patrick. I have the skull of Finn McCool." He says, "Hold on, sir. Are you telling me you've got the skull of St. Patrick?" Yes, he said, "That's the skull there of the great St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland."
He says, "You got to be kidding me, guy." He said, I was here 5 years ago, and you sold me a skull a little bigger than this. You said it was St. Patrick."
Actually, I remember you now. Well, this is St. Patrick when he was a boy.